Hola Year 7, welcome to lesson 2 of the second half term for summer, and the topic is ¿Cómo es tu ciudad? And here's a list of the equipment you need for today's lesson. You will need the exercise book the school gave you, a pen, paper or card to make flashcards, scissors to cut that up, highlighter or a different coloured pen, your knowledge organiser from module 6. You can open this up in a web browser window, and wordreference.com the same, and both of these are attached on class charts. Pause to get those ready now. Please remember to email me if you have any questions about the activities in this lesson between 9 and 3:30 p.m. and here's my email address. Thank you to those of you who've uploaded your lesson 1 already onto class charts. Please make sure that you do that in the next day, as well as uploading today's lesson as soon as you can. You need to upload lessons within 2 days after the lesson so that I can mark them and give you an achievement point. Copia la fecha, viernes el 5 de junio, y el título, ¿Cómo es tu ciudad? Y el objetivo, saying and in Spanish. Pause to do that now. So here is your do now activity. You've written your date and your title and your objective carefully in your book and underlined your date and title. And now I want you to fill in the gaps with the correct adjectival ending. You don't need to draw a table, but you do need to write out the words in full in Spanish here. So these are the adjectives in the masculine singular, feminine singular, masculine plural and feminine plural forms. And in red, you have highlighted the endings. So we know that the masculine singular for modern is moderno. The feminine singular for large is grande. And the masculine plural on line 3 for industrial is industriales. Okay, so you need to fill in the gaps. So pause to do that now and press play when you're ready for the answers. Okay, now time to check your answers. So line number 1, masculine singular moderno, feminine singular moderna, masculine plural modernos, feminine plural modernas. Número 2, grande with an E. Feminine singular is grande, which you had already. Grandes is the masculine plural, and grandes is the feminine plural as well. So you have to remember with this type of adjective, where it ends in an E in the masculine, it stays exactly the same in the feminine form. And then for both the masculine plural and the feminine plural forms, you'll add E, you'll have an extra S on there, so it'll be ES for both of them. And then we have número 3. This is an example of an adjective where it ends in a consonant. When it ends in a consonant in the masculine form, it stays the same in the feminine form for the singular. When you get to the masculine plural, you add ES, and when you get to the feminine plural, you add ES as well. So there are 3 different types of adjective that you covered with Miss Clinton last time. Have a fantastic lesson. Don't forget to upload your lesson, your work, so that I can have a look at it and give you an achievement point within the next couple of days. Okay, gracias chicos. Adios.
So let's have a look at the first column of the sentence builder, because this is the verb that we'll be focusing on today. I'd like you to repeat the verb after me. So, vivo en, vives en, vive en, vivimos en, vivís en, viven en. So you'll have noted, of course, you'll remember that this verb, you've studied this before, you always pronounce your V as a B. Okay, so using the sentence builder still, you're going to listen to the sentence that I say in Spanish, and whilst I do this, you're going to write it down. So you can pause the video as much as you need to. You'll then, once you've finished writing it down, you'll need to pause your video and say the Spanish phrase aloud. So let's have a go. Of course, remember as well, I will also repeat the phrase twice. So, vive en una ciudad bastante industrial. Sin embargo, no es bonita. Okay, I'll say that once more. Remember, you can pause the video as much as you need to. Vive en una ciudad bastante industrial. Sin embargo, no es bonita. Okay, so make sure you've written all of that down. Pause your video once you've written it all down and say the phrase aloud in Spanish. So you should have written down and said aloud, vive en una ciudad bastante industrial, sin embargo no es bonita. He or she lives in quite an industrial city, however it is not pretty. Okay, next sentence. And pay really close attention to my verb ending here as well, because each time we'll be using a different pronoun. So remember, write the sentence down in Spanish as I'm saying it, and you can pause the video as much as you need to. Viven en una ciudad un poco fea, sin embargo, no es sucia. And I'll say that again. Viven en una ciudad un poco fea, sin embargo, no es sucia. So once you've written that down, pause your video again to say it out loud. So you should have written and said aloud, viven en una ciudad un poco fea, sin embargo, no es sucia. Which translates as, of course, they live in a city which is a little ugly. However, it is not dirty. Okay, and third sentence. Vivimos en un pueblo muy tranquilo. Sin embargo, no es aburrido. And I'll say that again. Remember, you can pause the video as much as you need. Vivimos en un pueblo muy tranquilo. Sin embargo, no es aburrido. So again, once you've written it all down, pause your video to say it aloud. So you should have written down, vivimos en un pueblo muy tranquilo, sin embargo no es aburrido. We live in a very quiet town, however it is not boring. Okay, we're going to do exactly the same thing now, but English to Spanish. So write down in Spanish the phrase as I'm saying it. I'll be saying it in English, remember, but you can pause the video as much as you need to. And remember, I'll repeat it twice. At the end, once you finish writing it all down in Spanish, you can pause your video again and then say the phrase aloud in Spanish. So let's have a go. They live in quite a noisy town. However, it is not touristy. And I'll say that again. They live in quite a noisy town. However, it is not touristy. Okay, so you can pause your video once you've finished writing it and then say it out loud as well in Spanish. And you should have written, viven en un pueblo bastante ruidoso. Sin embargo, no es turístico. Okay, and another one. She lives in a very small city. However, it is not quiet. And I'll say that again. Remember, you can pause it as much as you need to. She lives in a very small city. However, it is not quiet. So once you've written that down, remember to pause your video and then say the sentence aloud in Spanish as well. And you should have written, vive en una ciudad pequeña, sin embargo no es tranquila. Okay, and lastly, we live in a city which is a little touristy. However, it is not important. We live in a city which is a little touristy. However, it is not important. Okay, so once you've written that down in Spanish, pause your video to then say it aloud in Spanish as well. And you should have written and said aloud, vivimos en una ciudad un poco turística, sin embargo, no es importante. So remember, your turística is ending in an A there because you are agreeing it with una ciudad, which a city, which is feminine. Okay, we're going to do a bit of grammar now and look at how to say and in Spanish. So, as always, listen to the explanation first, then pause your video to copy everything down. So, in Spanish, you all know if we want to make our sentences longer and add two subclauses together, then we need to use the word and, which in Spanish is the letter Y, which we can actually pronounce like the letter E, as you know. So, E equals and. For example, mi ciudad es grande y moderna. So we're using and just as we always have done, nice and easy. However, when the next word begins with an I or an HI, the Y will change to an E. So E becomes E. Let's have a look. So mi pueblo es pequeño e histórico. Here, my adjective begins with an HI. Therefore, my Y has turned to an E. Of course, the translation is exactly the same though. My town is small and historic. For the second sentence, mi pueblo es grande e idéntico al pueblo de mis abuelos. So again, my adjective began with an I, so my Y turned to an E. My town is big and identical to my grandparents' town. So, pause your video now to copy this all down. So I'd now like you to translate the sentences below, write both the Spanish and the English please, and pay particular attention to those sentences obviously that I've highlighted in red, so thinking about the grammar point that we have just made. Okay, let's go through your answers. Pause the video as much as you need to if you need to make any changes. Número 1. Vivimos en un pueblo muy limpio e histórico. So, we live in a very clean and historic town. I highlighted this because, of course, following on from our grammar point, the Y turned to an E because the following word began with an HI. Mi hermano vive en una ciudad bastante pequeña e interesante. So, number 2. My brother lives in quite a small and interesting city. Here again, our Y turned to an E because the following word began with an I. Okay. Número 3. Mis padres viven en un pueblo un poco feo y tranquilo. So my parents live in a town which is a bit ugly and quiet. Here we're just using a normal Y because of course there's no word that begins with an HI or I that follows it. So we can just use the normal Y there to mean and. Number 4. My sister lives in quite a modern and important city. Mi hermana vive en una ciudad bastante moderna e importante. Now hopefully here you remember to use the E instead of the Y for and because the following word began with an I. Okay, number 5. Mis padres viven en un pueblo un poco sucio y aburrido. Here for and you were just using the normal Y because of course aburrido begins with an A, so we don't need to make any changes there. And finally, número 6. Vivo en un pueblo muy ruidoso e histórico. Here you needed to change your Y to an E because of course histórico begins with an HI. So pause your video now if you need to make any changes, year 7. And for the last few lessons of your lesson, I'd like you to follow the quizzes link below and have a go at the quiz. Okay, so if you have any time left over, you can now make some flashcards for the verb vivir, which means to live, of course, in the present tense. So we did this as well before lockdown, this verb, so it'd be good retrieval practice for you. So you need to write down all 6 verb conjugations, remember, and highlight the different verb endings as I have done. So on the one side, remember you would write vivo, highlight that O ending, and then on the other side of that flashcard, write I live. Okay, then you would then spend 5 minutes learning this verb on your flashcards by testing yourself, writing it out at the back of your book and looking back at your flashcards to check that you were correct. You may also want to create a memory game as well by doing 2 sets of flashcards. Okay, finding 2 of the same verb endings.
Well done, year 7. Great work today. And please remember to upload a photo of your work onto class charts when you've completed your lessons today. Fantastic work and have a great weekend. Gracias. Adios.